Hello, my name is Antoinette Landejón, and I am very excited to introduce today Alin Lazărescu, the general manager for Via Viticola. This is not only the position he holds, but he's also the chief winemaker for all of the wineries within the group. And this is an amazing opportunity for us to learn not only the business about the business side of winemaking, but also what it's like to be a chief winemaker and what that means and how that contrasts to being the single winemaker for a single winery. But before we get into that, Alin, please take over and introduce yourself, and then we'll get right into it.
Hello, very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce our group. My name is Alin Lazărescu. I'm, as you said, the general manager of Via Viticola, which is part of Vintruvian Estates company that owns 4 wineries in Romania at this moment, all of them located in different wine regions, like Dobrogea, like Dealu Mare, like Drăgășani, and Niculițel. But somehow Niculițel region is also part of Dobrogea wine region, which is a very big wine region in Romania. I'm 42 years old. I'm coordinating the group of winemakers in our group. For me, wine is a passion. It's much more than a job. I've been working in the wine domain for more than 25 years, let's say, with the university included somehow, because during my university studies, I had the chance to learn a lot and make a lot of practice in vineyards, and especially in the enology part, in winemaking, in technology. The wine business is very challenging. Every day you have to find new ways of taking your wine at the best standards, because the wine market, it's extremely very challenging. There are a lot of new trends that appear on the market, and we have to keep on and emphasize to our consumer the quality of our wines, and hoping they will enjoy it and love it, and of course they in the end to buy them because this is our job, to produce wine for the wine lovers and to convince them to buy it.
Well, it's very interesting that you have been in the industry for 25 years, university included, but this is great. You've seen the development of not only the wine culture, the wine science, but also winemaking patterns of consumers specifically applicable to Romanian wine have changed. So if you could give us some insight, how have consumer habits changed over the last 20 years? And where do you see them today? And where do you see them tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a perfect question, let's say, because I think now with my answer, I can make somehow a resume of what happened in the Romanian wine industry in the last 20 years, let's say. 20 years ago, the Romanian wine market was starting to develop. The consumers were very traditional at that time. They were still consuming residual sugar wines, let's say, especially semi-medium dry or semi-sweet, especially. The percentage of consumption was at that time about 65% the whites, 30% the reds, and 5% somehow rosé. But I'm not quite sure that at that time they understood very well what was the meaning of the rosé wine. I guess a lot of consumers of that time considered that rosé was an assembly between red and white. This was my opinion, at least at that time, and not only my opinion, but the opinion of the ones that started to consume the rosé. Meanwhile, the Romanian wine industry developed a lot. We had the chance to enter, the Romania had the chance, and us, of course, to enter in the European Union. We had the chance to attract a lot of European funds that were invested in the vineyards, especially, and in the winemaking technology. That helped a lot our industry, because investing in the technology of winemaking made the Romanian wines very appreciated all over the world, and started to increase the quality every year a lot. And not only that, but nowadays, if you look at the very well appreciated international wine competition all over the world, you'll see that a lot of Romanian wines earn a lot of medals, gold medals, best in show, silver medals, and so on, which means that the Romanian wine producers started to implement very well the new technology and the new standards in the winemaking, and that helped a lot the industry. When the industry of winemaking in Romania started to develop by using the new technology, also step by step, the consumption in Romania started to change. And as I told you, 20 years ago, 65% were consuming the whites, and especially medium dry and semi-sweet. Now they are consuming more than 30%, let's say near to 35% dry wines, very fresh, very fruity. Also, the share of rosé from 5% or nearly 5% at that time, now it's almost 25 up to 28%, and also increase the consumption of heavy reds, let's say like that, that are aging in the oak barrel and so on, age also in the bottle, with very high potential, not only in alcohol, but in structure, in complexity, in aromas. So just a short resume to understand what happened in the last 20 years in the Romanian wine industry and with the Romanian wine consumers too.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Champagne, just as an aside, also had a trend where, and you know, in Australia as well, this happened, where in the mid 1900s, there was a lot of residual sugar, and then in the 80s and 90s, it was really a turning point for dry wine, and here we are today, almost 40 years later, and the style of consumption globally has changed so much that we, as a retailer in Washington, D.C., sell very, very little residual sugar wines, and dry across the board. So we're definitely in line with the Romanian consumers there. You mentioned the different regions of the wineries, and
yes.
they're all very different, and there's a reason why there have been investments in these different regions. Could you very, very briefly explain to the listener and to me how these regions are different, and what is attractive about them to you as a winemaker? What gets you excited about the positive aspects of these different regions?
Okay, so I will start very briefly with the first wineries that we bought in 2015, if I'm not wrong, but I think that was the year 2015, located in Niculițel, in the bigger Dobrogea wine region. In here, we are very famous for the aligoté. We started to develop some research, but we may consider that today, Viticola Sarica Niculițel is somehow one of the largest premium aligoté producer in the world. We decided, after seeing the terroir, that aligoté would be the best grape variety that would make a fantastic wine, an aligoté wine in that region. And not only the grape and the terroir, but we decided to change a little bit the winemaking approach. You know that in Burgundy, where aligoté is also very famous, it's obtained somehow with the let's say, in terms of winemaking methods, in contact with oxygen and somehow traditional, let's say. But at that time, we decided to make a very reductive style aligoté with no oxygen contact, extremely fresh, with very high acidity. For the ones that never been tasting an aligoté, just to give you a hint, is somehow similar with the Viognier, or in some regions very similar with the Riesling in terms of acidity, but it's very complex in mouth, very long aftertaste, and very powerful in aromas. This winemaking style that we decided to use in this aligoté made us very famous, not only in Romania, but somehow in a lot of European countries that we are exporting our aligoté. Not us, but all the ones that are drinking this aligoté consider them the perfect pairing with the fish food. And it's one of the best. The Dobroja terroir, and especially the Niculițel terroir, being very salty with an acid pH, helps a lot the vineyards to develop a high acidity and not a high alcohol, but a medium alcohol, something like 12.5 in terms of volumes in alcohol, which makes this wine also very friendly to drink. We are also invested a lot in the technology of developing our vineyards. We had some very famous consultants that help us a lot in approaching a different style of conducting our grapes through the vineyards. For example, Richard Smart, that helped us a lot, which is fantastic, in my opinion, one of the best that have ever been on this planet regarding the vineyards. So we have the chance to work with him, that taught us a lot about how to conduct an high-end quality aligoté, let's say. But the very important thing for a very high quality aligoté is the way you're conducting the winemaking in terms of temperature, in terms of fermentation, and in terms of using as much reductive as you can during from the moment you crop the grape from the vineyard till it comes out in the bottle as wine. So this is also very important. So Dobroja, also besides the aligoté, it's extremely not only well known in Romania, but also the terroir allows us to make fantastic rosé wines, very light in color, very fruity with high acidity, and also Dobroja in the last let's say 5-6 years is considered the best region for the rosé in Romania. Also very similar with the Provence. Which helped us a lot. I think this was one of the reasons that the rosé increased a lot in the consumption in Romania, because of this style of rosé. Very light in color, like the Provence style, very fruity, low alcohol, high acidity, very fresh. And Dobroja is this kind, being very close to the Danube Delta and very close to the sea. The minerality that the roots of the vineyards are taking from this soil, you can recognize it inside the wine, let's say, somehow. Of course, you have to do a lot of treatment in the vineyards and, of course, in the cellar in order to develop all this quality. But in the end, you take out this type of wines. Going forward and speaking about the Dealu Mare. Dealu Mare is considered to be in Romania the best wine region for reds. We're developing in here our iconic wine called Prince Matei. Prince Matei is a Merlot, pure Merlot, that was considered a few years ago, and we hope that it's still considered one of the best Merlot in Romania. That was awarded and a lot of important international wine competition, and being one of the best Merlot in the show. Our region, we have, for example, in our wineries in Dealu Mare, we have 92 hectares, where we have very old vineyards, 43 years old for Merlot, for Cabernet, and for our Romanian variety, very well known by you, I saw lately, which is Feteasca Neagră. The yield also is very important when we are speaking about Merlot that comes out from a very old vineyard. We're speaking about maximum 4.5 tons per hectare. But not only the production per hectare is very important when we are speaking of very high quality, it's very important the yield per every root of vineyard, which is extremely important, because if you want to have a high quality red wine, you have to have a 0.9, maximum 1.2 kilo per root, which is extremely hard to obtain, but extremely important for a high-end quality. And Dealul Mare is considered to be to have a lot of similarities like the high Bordeaux, let's say, in terms of terroir. We have argilo, we have sand in Dealul Mare, we have altitudes, and we have sunny days, but not so many, which allows our reds to develop step by step and to reach the phenolic maturity in order to have a very high quality in the cellar in the end. And the Drăgășani, our last region, let's say, was discovered not so many years ago. Even it is one of the oldest regions in Romania, but was not used and discovered lately, and it has especially two varieties that are extremely appreciated. One of them is a red variety, which is called Negru de Drăgășani, and the other one is a white grape variety, which is called Crâmpoșie. Also, I want to emphasize that Niculițel and also Drăgășani are having the terroir extremely well for sparkling production because of the very high acidity and the structure that the grape varieties may offer.
Very interesting. This is a wealth of information, and it's so exciting to see the different styles of wines that are being made. We are thrilled every time Armand introduces us to a new bottling or a new vintage, because it's always as good as the previous, or if not better. So the consistency across the board is there, and it's absolutely thrilling. You mentioned so many different things that were just ripe for a follow-up. And one of those was one of the challenges about winemaking, or one of the thrills, is how the standards for winemaking are constantly being increased. And so with that, you have the technologies, you have the science. As a professional winemaker, how is it that you are able to stay up to speed with everything that is happening, from the different yeasts that are being cultivated to combat different acidity levels or improve different types of flavors within the grape naturally, to the different types of hybrids that are available, or rootstocks that are coming out, the struggles that you have in the vineyard with different pest pressures or humidity levels, to choosing the packaging and working with the marketing team in that sense. It's a lot to do. Would you like to give us a small insight on sort of the highlights of your career and sort of what you do day to day in general? Give us an idea of what it's like to be you.
Yeah, so seems to be one question, but this question I think will have is necessary a lot of answers. So I had the chance during my 25 years of experience to meet a lot of very well-known winemakers all over the world. And I'll give you an example as Renzo Cottarella, which is the chief winemaker in Antinori. I had the chance to learn a lot from the Antinori family. I had the chance to see how they are producing their high quality wines and to understand from Renzo that there is no specific recipe for making a wonderful wine. You need to take your decision when you have the grape in your hand and decide in that moment what would be the technology that would make from that grape a special wine. So this is very important for me to tell to all the wine lovers. In winemaking, there is no specific recipe. There is no 100% mathematics in here. You have to feel the grape, to understand the potential, because as you well know, there are different years with different quality of grapes because of the climate, because of the sunny days, because, as you say, the humidity, because of the less starting to be as less rain as possible in the last years, unfortunately, and you have to introduce water in your vineyard. You have to decide how many liters and when to give water to your plant. Also, I had the chance to see how a company that has a fantastic background started to be again extremely well-known, appreciated all over the world. And I'm speaking here about Tétanger, because I had the chance to work with Clovit Tétanger personally and to meet the Tétanger family and understand how to regain your family brand and make it to be shining again as it was in the past. I also, speaking about Australia, I had the chance to meet the Lehman family because I worked with the Peter Lehman wines, which in my opinion are fantastic wines. For example, I'll never forget the Stonewall Shiraz. In my opinion, is one of the best I've ever tasted during my entire life till now. I had the chance to work a little bit with the Gallo wines. So from all of this, I understand a little bit about the vineyards, a little bit about the winemaking technology, and a little bit more about how to present your wine, how to market your wine, how to prepare the specific labels in accordance with the consumers that you address to. So there are a lot of things that I have to manage daily. I'm a little bit in the cellar. I'm a little bit in a vineyard, but I'm a lot in the office working with the marketing team, with the sales team, explaining, taking decision about the labels, about the segments that we have in several markets that we are working with, how to promote the wines, how to differentiate your wines, because this is the idea. I'm always telling to the wine consumers that the following things. There are a lot of very good wines all over the world. It's very important how you succeed to differentiate from all other wines, because in my opinion, there is not a bad wine in the market. There is a wine that you may not understand very well when you drink it. And because of that, somehow you consider that for you personally, it's not the best that you may have. So, and some of the people say that it's a bad wine. It's not a bad wine. It's a wine that you may not understand very well. Or it's not the one that you prefer in that moment, let's say. So yeah, you know, I can talk a lot about that, and there are a lot of things that I may say to the wine consumers or to the ones that will listen and to our discussion. But I think generally these are the important things. In wine, it's about it's about passion, and I have to underline that it's not a specific recipe when you produce your wine. You have to understand very well your terroir. You have to understand very well what treatments has to be done to the vineyards in order to get the quality that you are looking for, because also this is very important. It depends what you want to take out from the vineyards. And also when you are in the cellar, it's very important to establish the exact protocol, let's say, for the winemaker to know exactly what treatments should be done to that grape in order to, in the end, to have the wine that you are dreaming about. for example, in Chardonnay, in my opinion, it depends on the region. There are fantastic Chardonnay that are being produced with direct press of the grapes in the pneumatical press with no maceration. And because that grape of Chardonnay is very fruity, it's very crispy, it has high acidity, and it no needs any skin contact. There are also Chardonnay that are being produced exactly like the reds are being produced in skin fermentation, not only skin maceration, but skin fermentation. That there are a lot of this type of Chardonnay that are being produced in Napa Valley. For example, there are the Moldavi Chardonnays that are fantastic Chardonnays, but some of them are being produced with the skin fermentation, and after that, a lot of aging in the barrel. It's also very important how you choose your barrels. What type of oak are you using for each type of wine? How long do you want to keep them in the barrel? After that, it's very important your decision when you decide to get your wine into the market, if it is the right moment or it needs to stay longer in the bottle. Speaking about the yeast, you've been speaking a few days ago with my colleague Paul Fulea that he approaches the winemaking technology with indigenous yeast or wild yeast. This is one of our wineries and one of our strategy to produce some of our wines with the indigenous yeast. To develop the specific of the terroir, let's say. But also in other wineries, we're using selected yeast. And in here, we invested a lot in the research because it's very important to understand what type of yeast is proper for every type of your grape that you are using on that. I'm also the type of winemaker that combines different yeasts in producing a different type of wine. I'm not using only one yeast when I'm producing, for example, a Sauvignon Blanc. I'm using 2 or sometimes 3 types of yeast in producing the same wine. Also, it's very important the analysis that you have to do before you decide when to harvest your grape. It's very important the pH, which is, in my opinion, it's extremely important in the quality of our wine. The acidity, the percentage of alcohol, the phenolic maturity, the nitrogen concentration of the grape at that time to see what type of nutrient you have to use or how quantity of nutrient has been added to that wine during the fermentation in order to develop the quality that you are looking for. Yeah, so a lot of answers. I don't know exactly what to focus on, but I just wanted to emphasize a little bit of my daily activity.
Yes, amazing. I wish we had all day to just sit here and grill you and ask you a bunch of questions, but out of respect for your time, which we are very grateful for, we will wind this down, even though I've already written 3 or 4 more new questions to ask you. But I'll have to wait until next time. Before we say goodbye, are there any last words or thoughts you would like to share with those who are listening to this?
Yeah, what I want to say is that, and in my opinion, I think these are the ideas of all the winemakers all over the world, and at least these are my thoughts, and I want to share them with the ones that are consuming our wines. Maybe we're not producing the best wines in the world, but for sure we do our best to make them as perfect as possible. And we put all our technology, experience, and soul in these wines in order for them to achieve the highest quality possible. Because sometimes, even if you are doing all your best, there are moments when the wines may not be the best in the mind of the consumer, but be sure that we are doing our best for every wine to be or to touch the perfect way possible, let's say like this, in terms of quality and in terms of production.
Absolutely. As the winemaker, you are the voice of the grape. And so it is always the intention to present the grapes in the best way possible. So I'm right there with you. There are some vintages that are more difficult than others, and the wines may have an expression of their pain in the vineyard.
Exactly.
But overall, just to circle back, I'm overwhelmed with the quality of wines that we've seen from Armand, from your Romanian vineyards and wineries, and we are grateful here in Washington, D.C. for the opportunity to be exposed to such wonderful wines, because it's just such a pleasure to see such a thriving wine market and actually have the opportunity to enjoy all of these incredible wines. So thank you for making them. And we hope to have you back soon. And next time you come to DC, definitely come visit us.
I'll be for sure next year in March. So 100% I'll be there. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to speak to the American wine consumers that are, and we are very grateful that we had the chance. And thanks a lot to Mr. Armand that gave us the possibility to offer to the American wine consumer the possibility to taste our wines. We hope that they will enjoy the wines, and thank you a lot for all that you're for all your efforts to promote the Romanian wines in the US and especially in the Washington DC area. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.